Welcome to You're Not Alone, the podcast that brings you real stories of strength, hope, and resilience. Our guests are real people, just like you, who have faced losses, anxieties, and life obstacles, but emerged stronger. In today's episode, I'm joined by Olga Odhiambo, the inspiring founder of GEM Accounting and Tax Services. Olga's journey from corporate America to entrepreneurship, all while raising her son as a single mom, is the true testament to resilience and staying true to your why. We'll dive into the power of positivity, building authentic connections, and trusting the process even when life gets tough. If you're ready to be inspired to take bold steps towards freedom and fulfillment, this conversation is for you. Let's get started. My name is Vita. I'm a mindset mentor, Reiki master, and a sound healer. I'm also the CEO and founder of Self Awesomeness and the host of this podcast. And today's guest is Olga Odhiambo. She is a CPA, CEO, and GEM Accounting and Tax Services founder. She lived and changed her corporate career to entrepreneurial path while raising her son alone. Olga's story is fascinating, and our paths have crossed before, but I let her to speak about it. And Olga, thank you so much for being on today's podcast. And can you please share your story with us and how your journey brought you where you are right now?
Thank you, Victoria, for having me. It's certainly very wonderful to be here with you. So, like Victoria said, I spent many years in corporate America. You can possibly pick up from my accent. I'm originally from Kenya. That's in East Africa. And I migrated to the United States close to 20 years ago. So very excited young girl. I joined corporate America. And I've been pretty much happy with, the routine until about 2014 when I realized that I was pregnant and of course had my son. And as any new mother knows, raising a child is quite a feat. And for me, in fact, all of my family is in Kenya. And I quite remember 2 or 3 weeks prior to me giving birth, I had reached out to all my friends, say, I'm going to need you on this day. Please be ready. I might need a ride from the hospital or somebody to help me set up the car seat. All of those plans fell through until the very last. It was so interesting. In fact, I remember driving across the hospital in the middle of the night. It was Super Bowl night. So you can imagine I was just running red lights. There was no traffic on my own, blah, blah, blah. But it turned out to be one of the best days of my life. I had my son. And this kid has totally changed my life. And I'm so forever thankful. If anybody ever asks me, why did you start this business? I knew it was him that gave me the push. Because I remember in my corporate America days, I didn't want to do taxes. I even took classes to do taxes, but there was always a non-compete agreement that came across every 2 years. Please confirm that you don't have any other thing you're doing besides what you're working on. And I would sign it. And I knew I couldn't take any other jobs. Or if I did, I would have to approach somebody in the company and explain exactly what I was doing. So I didn't have the courage at that point to do it. But with me having my son, although I was still working, I realized that I was taking him to daycare and then getting somebody else to pick him up from daycare so that they can keep him with them. And then me come back at 8 p.m. to get my son from the lady. And so you can imagine the babysitter's role was just to pick him up until maybe 6:30, 7 p.m. But I'm coming in later and later and later. And I got to that realization. Why did God give me a child and I'm giving other people to raise this child? That's just not the way it was supposed to be. And so I decided to start my own business. I just needed the flexibility. But I'm the professional you talk to when you're starting your business. And I always say, have 6 months worth of, cushion so that if anything goes down, don't worry, you have some money to keep going. For me, I had my back against the wall. I had maybe 3 months worth of paycheck because, you give in your notice and you still have maybe another 1 or 2 paychecks. I did not have money, but what I had was motivation and I was so determined.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I quit my job because I knew I had to spend time at home with my child. I did have some savings. I used to work for a brokerage firm, and for the years I had been investing in stocks. Nothing crazy, just some mutual funds. So over time, I would sell them, just to get cash to run my home. But that's what I did. I just started the business. I can tell you the first year was rough. I would get
Of
one
course.
person letting me do their tax returns, and I'd be so thankful. But they would pay me, minimal dollars. But I was so thankful. I even, started networking, and I met new bankers who would give me like line of credit. And I remember there's one check that I made to the daycare, and it was from one of those fast checks you get from the bank,
Oh.
and it was a line of credit. I mean, it was crazy. But with belief and just hanging in there, it started to work out. And I remember my second year was the pandemic where, okay, the world is shut down. You cannot actually go out and meet people. But
Mm-hmm.
that's where the magic happened for me because I really needed to work from home. And I needed clients who were willing to work with me remotely. And that's when the pandemic happened. At that time, we already had the tools. I mean, you had internet and you have a secure portal where people can upload their documents. The people who were resistant to that finally just accepted it because
Yes.
first it's difficult to meet in person. I mean, I remember the first couple of weeks where you were not even sure whether you could go outside of your
Yes.
home. So it worked out great. So the pandemic actually was good for us growing the business. There was a need for accountants at that time because there was all kinds of government regulations, loans and grants, and how do I apply for this? Do I qualify? And that kind of stuff. So we were thrust into that, and then they were extending deadlines that we didn't know about. And so there was a lot of work for us to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how my business started picking up. And
Mm.
that's when I knew this is what I really wanted to stick with.
Oh, that's amazing. That's actually, 2020 brought a lot of great things for business owners, right? Who were
Room.
shy or not determined to go online or didn't know that they can do it online, but a world opened up that possibility for all of us, I guess. And even now we're talking online, right? Not
Yes, yes,
offline.
it's
Yeah.
normal. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is actually pretty amazing that you took that leap
Mhm.
and you kind of stepped into your fear, right? Because you had a baby boy back then, right?
I
He
had a big
wasn't,
boy.
yeah. And usually babies require a lot of time and attention, right?
Mhm.
And you just went for it because you wanted to do taxes.
Yeah.
Olga, what were the toughest moment during that time?
Mhm.
I guess during that first year when
Mhm.
it wasn't working the way you thought it would work.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I would say, accounting and CPA work, it's a trust kind of business.
Hmm.
And when you're first starting out and you're introducing yourself to the world, sometimes they're not sure of who you are. And so it takes time. You have to build relationships. And so, they say sometimes when you push too hard to ask for business, the other person on the other end will know and they will keep away from you.
Yes.
So building that trust is one of the hardest things you do. And then also, even as you start your business, despite, and Victoria, you know this, despite having worked in accounting for 25, in fact, if I were to say the truth, you probably age me at this point. I think it's over 25 years in the industry, right? But you still have to learn because what we were doing in corporate, what you do in corporate America, you're working for this large firm and you're only responsible for a
Mm.
smaller portion of the
Yes.
accounting process, right? Whereas now you're dealing with a small business owner where you're doing, the full service accounting, and so you have to open yourself up to learning and learning a lot. So that's another challenge I had when I was starting this business. Yes, I've been doing this work for years. I understand what a debit is and what credit is. I've been
Hmm.
filing my own taxes. But then when it comes to somebody else's business in an industry you're not familiar with, you have to take the time to learn. So there's a lot of investment in professional learning, and that costs money. Or if you
Yeah.
have to travel as a single mom, You just don't pick up and go. You have to think about so many things that you have to put in place for your child. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Who's going to who's going to pick him up? Who's going to stay in your home? And the minute you walk to the airport, the guilt, the overwhelming guilt you feel, especially if the baby cried before you left the
Mm-hmm.
door, it's amazing. And once you're there in the training,
Mm-hmm.
you keep thinking about them. You sometimes, when you go for training, there's some fun dinners here and there. I I just stay away from that just because of the guilt. Like, it's just I came for that thing and I'm here, and as soon as I'm ready to, I'll take off. I'll leave kidnap. So those are the challenges. Like, when you're starting out, it's crazy like that, and
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're a mom. But
Yeah.
I've always been surrounded by people who supported me and cheered me on, and couldn't believe I was pulling this off. There was some discouragement and real concern, saying, I've seen so many people try this and not made it.
Yeah.
Don't quit your job. Don't do this. But I was so determined because I needed that flexibility with my child and
Mm-hmm.
with life. And spending out years in corporate America, I just didn't have that flexibility. And I mean, the employers are fair, but then you find if you're working in accounting, you have certain tight, very strict deadlines. So
Correct.
even if you wanted to go on vacation, your friends have different dates available for them, whereas you were just focused on month and deadlines that you barely can do any.
That's true.
Yeah, or you're working on weekends and they don't understand why you're doing this. So that flexibility, I needed it so much. And the
Mm-hmm.
worst part was, your child ever got sick?
Yes.
And they get sick not for one day, it's for
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 days because the
Correct.
fever has to go down. And your employers give me that one day and they
Yeah.
think they're doing you a favor because, yeah, you asked for one day, you're getting one day. The daycare will not accept him.
Correct.
What do you do?
Yeah.
So working from home it was a gift for me. So that's why, so the business has always given me that.
Yes, because before 2020, I remember we were not allowed to work from home, right? So we had to be in the office. And I remember my son being sick too. And we're like, oh my goodness, who is going to watch him? Yeah, and that's very tough, especially when they're younger, right? I mean, even now, but it's a little bit easier. But still, if they're sick, they have to be home, right? But who supported you? You said when you travel, you have that guilt feeling. And I know how difficult the
Yeah.
accommodation of timing and pickup schedule and after school activities can be for someone who is covering for you. Who supported you?
So I remember one time, okay, so this particular family, in the neighborhood where I lived, it's a Hispanic family. So I met the grandma. So she met me with my child and we started talking, and she offered that if you ever needed a babysitter, I'm here for you. Then later on, she introduced me to her sister, her daughter, who, of course, the daughter spoke, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the English, and so we were able to communicate. So I remember this one time I had to travel, and I had the lady come and live in my house, and to drop the baby to daycare, her daughter would do that and pick him back up. And she would stay with my son. And then I remember trying to call her in the evening, but we couldn't communicate because sometimes she didn't understand me, I didn't understand her, but I
Yes,
could see my son. And it was
sign
2 or
language.
3 days. But she's a
Mm-hmm.
lifesaver. And for the longest time, my son called her his grandma.
Oh my
And later on, it's like, how come I have a white grandma? That's not good.
Oh, but this is
She
beautiful.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So she just offered herself, and she's always been a
Oh my.
sweetheart. Cooked for him food because you had to arrange all that, but she came in
Yes.
with her own flavor and did, you know, meals for him that he enjoyed.
Oh
And yeah,
wow.
that's great, it worked out.
So he has another grandma. That's great.
He
So
has
he'll
another
he'll
grandma.
tell stories.
I have a white grandma, I have an
Yeah.
African grandma.
This is beautiful. I mean, it's something I guess so cool for our kids to remember that they had other people in their lives who supported
Yeah,
them, right? Yeah.
yes.
Mm.
And also my family in Kenya. Now, in this day and age, communication is
Mhm.
much better. So you can always call. So I have family in Kenya that encourage and, giving me the strength. Sometimes they don't understand the reality that,
Yeah.
that I was going through. And so having friends here as well always helps.
Yes, yeah, I get it. Totally get it. Trust me. Did you have a moment when you just wanted to give up and maybe go back to the corporate world and just be?
Mhm. Oh yeah, I've had moments. I have many moments, and especially, when you're a small business, you want to try your best to serve your clients, but sometimes some clients are not happy, or they will not work with your business the way you've set it up. And so, especially in my area of consulting, I would advise them to do things one way, but they want to do things the other way or the way they're used to. And so if they don't get the results that was expected,
Mhm.
they can throw tantrums. So I've had clients who have made me want to quit, but then quit to what? I
Mhm.
always think, where am I
Oh, I
going?
love
You
it.
know?
Yes.
Why would I want
Yes.
to ever go back to that? I would even take a night job in Walmart before you take me back to corporate America. And not to disrespect corporate America, it was just the flexibility. Right
Mhm.
now, my son is 9, fourth grade, needs help with homework. He's all over soccer and friends, and I have to keep up with that. And
Yes.
so for me, I need to be with him, even though he drives me to the wall most nights. But I feel like as a parent, you
Yeah.
need to be there. The
Mhm.
worst anxiety, I'll never forget this anxiety that every time you had something to do for him, or you had to leave at 5 or 6 p.m. in corporate America, and it would give me anxiety walking out
Mhm.
because you'd leave 90% of your colleagues still chipping away at work.
Yes.
And if you did that twice, 3 times in a row, then you're designated the slacker.
Yes. Yeah, I
Those were,
remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but so I've had those nightmare clients who I remember this particular guy, he very well spoken. His business was amazing. In fact, on paper, he was my ideal client. And not just that, he's in a network of clients that could refer me to bigger ones. And so we start working together. The communication is in there. I bombard him with emails. He's not taking the emails. What then randomly calls me and say, "Oh, I don't wanna, don't, I need a break. Don't call me anymore." And in my work, it's deadline driven. So as time goes by,
Yeah.
we need to work on this. Either that or I need you to find another professional so I can transition to them properly. And I prayed about it. Lo and behold, he calls me one day and say, "Hey, I'm sorry about everything that's going on, but I have found somebody else." And I was so relieved. Relieved because we were not a good fit. And
Mhm.
sometimes in business, we love our clients. We want to work with them, but not everybody will be an ideal fit.
Mhm.
And so I had already worked with my insurance company, my lawyer, say, "Hey, how do we get out of this? We want to make him whole, but we've also spent a lot of time on his work, but he's non-communicative, and when he does, it's not very productive." And so he's the one that came back and said, "Okay, let's part ways. I'll pay for the work that you have done thus far."
Mhm. Mhm.
Let's transition. So I've had moments, yeah,
Yeah.
or another client who's going through an audit and making all kinds of tantrums. So we said, let the auditor finish what they're doing. Let's get that final report and see if there are any
Yes.
changes that need to be done. Lo and behold, audit is done. No big deal. So I've had my moments. When you're
Yeah.
going through it, it doesn't seem like you'll come out of it
Yes.
okay. But a lot of times I feel like if you're sincere and you treat your clients with professionalism and sincerity and you do your best, most times the outcomes are positive.
Yes.
But going through it sometimes
Yeah.
can be crazy. I think that's love Victoria. You
Yes, that's where I come in.
yeah, I've
Yes.
had moments. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that it can be very difficult to deal with it with people, and as you said, some people we could feel connection, and some we just don't feel connection, and it's applicable to any area of our lives, right? Some we are friends with some people, and we're not friends with others, and the same with clients. I think you find your client that you feel comfortable working with, so it's so you don't feel that your energy is drained as well. Do you remember your first steps when you just opened the business? What, like, do you remember your very first step? Like, okay, I'm doing that. So, do you remember that feeling that you had inside of you? And if you can share that with us, that would be great.
Mm, yeah. So okay. So I joined this group teaching people how to start their own businesses, and I
Hmm.
happened to have connected with people within that group.
Oh,
I would call them and I would say, "How is it going for you? Are you getting clients? Are you closing any deals?" Some would be like, "Nah, I mean it's not working." Others would be like, "Yeah, I'm closing." But what? So it was scary. So what they did was they would give you a script
a script.
of questions, and then you sound so robotic in that script. It was very interesting. But what really helped was connecting with other people in similar circumstances.
Hmm.
Uh, try my best to follow through with the training that they provided. They promised a lot of things in the training, in the coaching. Like within 2 months, you will hit these numbers. Within a year, you will hit $1 million. I don't see why you shouldn't.
Hmm.
Um, so there was a lot that was promised. Back then we were doing Zoom calls and we would record them. And when we hear them, they're just so cringe because of what you were saying. We had so much time. We'd get excited over a simple tax return. It was wild. But and then back then, my mom, who's in Kenya, she's also a business owner, and trust me, she was pushing me every day. Go and call that client. Go get that client. Go
Hmm.
advertise or something. Tell everybody you're doing taxes. She would push me every day to the point where I would do it just so that I wouldn't have to hear her. So it's
So she was the one who motivated you to keep
yes, like get
going.
an LLC. Did you get an LLC? Did you open a bank account? All those steps you had to
Hmm.
take. And my mom is in Kenya. She barely made it till high school, but
Oh, wow.
she had that fortitude to run a business.
Hmm.
Um, she didn't know all the technicalities, but she said, "You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do this. I don't care. Go get those clients." That was the first thing she emphasized. But and like in a business, like, oh, let me go get a website. Let me go get a
Yes.
business and present this way. She's like, forget all that. Go get your first.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I keep telling my people, my clients too. You
Yes.
have to talk about what you offer and your services and then worry about your website, business
About
cards, and
them,
all that
yes.
stuff. But it's kind of procrastination, like I'll do my business website, will be super professional, then my business cards. And yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
remember.
think an extra layer of courses and yeah,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
yeah, she just kept pushing me, keep doing it. And my mom, right now she's going through some health challenges, and so I'm not able to talk to her
Sorry.
on a regular basis. And I
Hmm.
really, really miss that friendship because being in business can be lonesome. And I say it in the sense that your friends who have a regular job, who have a regular paycheck, might not understand what it takes for you to do the work and get paid, you
Correct.
know? Or sometimes they don't understand the challenges.
Hmm.
But there is a flip side. And the flip side is awesome. The
It
flip side
is.
is awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
But there's a challenge part where, am I going to get paid? Am I going to close this deal? Or going through anxiety of making sure your clients are
Hmm.
happy, you get good reviews on Google or whatever platform you're
Yes.
using. That part is usually the challenging part of running a
Hmm.
business. Or you start having employees, making sure that they're paid and they're happy, you know, that
Yes.
will keep you up at night. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think what you said was beautiful before. If you're very sincere with your clients and you kind of trust the process, everything turned out to be great, right? So you just
Yeah.
sometimes have to trust, sometimes have to just do things what you can do and the things that
Yeah.
are in your capacity.
Yeah.
And universe opens up doors and everything turns out in
It
your
does.
favor
It it
pretty much.
it really does. Or you get connected to the right people, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah,
Uh,
connection, network, right? So networking
yes.
with other people, meeting other people, and talking about what you do,
Yes, yes.
right?
And being genuine, just being genuine on yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of me, like I know as a foreigner, I can be tempted to start putting the American accent, but people want to see the authentic you.
Yes, yeah, authenticity, right? So, and I think people are more drawn right now to the authenticity, not to marketing or promotion. And as you said, just reading a script like, oh, girl, come on, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's so true. That's so true. And it's beautiful. So, your mom knew probably more about business than you did
Oh,
when you
she
started.
did. The first few sales were definitely on her, and even starting the business registration,
So she
it
was
was
your
her.
motivation pretty much along with your son, right? So and you had
Right.
your back in face of your mom who actually kind of supported you and pushed you to move forward. This is amazing. This is beautiful. Yes. So do you remember your first client, how you met him or her and how you felt that feeling when you signed your first contract?
Okay, so I remember her. Actually, she's a good friend of mine because when you're starting business, a lot of times we reach out to friends and family and say,
Yes.
"Hey, I'm doing this. I'm now filing taxes." So this lady comes along, and I'm so excited. I was so excited that she actually accepted to be a client.
Mm-hmm.
And so to process her tax return took me much longer than it should have, but she was very, very patient. And then the payment part was another thing, which also took long. Like she was paying in small bits, and I'm so excited. Like
Yes, you're getting
I'm getting paid.
paid.
Not getting paid. So maybe $50 here, another 50,
Yeah.
25. Okay. That worked. But I was so thankful that she believed in me.
Mm-hmm.
She's still a client to this day, and she's still a
Oh.
dear friend to this day, which I really truly appreciate. So I've known her for long now. But she's the one that gave me the chance and trusted, me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, of course, she also introduced me to other clients, so we've been supporting each other over time. But I can tell you, if you listen to that Zoom call with my friends and was saying how I got a tax return and for barely nothing, and I was so excited to do it, and,
Like
and
a
I
full
closed it.
dedication to a tax return.
And then we would use other platforms, something similar to Upwork, but then you'd get inquiries through those. And then
Hmm.
one or two people would want to work with us. And that's
Hmm.
how I started building it over time. And in my world, it's a tax return. So people do come back. If you did it this
Yes.
time, or sometimes they stay for 3 years and they come back, it gets a little complex. So that's how it
Yeah.
built slowly and slowly. But it was all, you can imagine excitement where you see on your feed that, hey, you have a new client. But
Yes.
you had to build it up. You had to get referrals. You
Hmm.
had to build your name first. And that's usually the part where people get discouraged. But if you stick with it, I promise you, it works.
Yeah. And speak and ask people for referrals as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Just ask. Yeah. And be shameless about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's your business. That's part of your business, right? And I think for a tax return, if you have a person who does your taxes, it's like going to the doctors. You pretty much stick with the same physician forever, right? Until they move somewhere. So
Yeah.
because you already trust that person and you trust their work.
And also from my point of view, I see a lot of growth in my clients. So just like my business is growing, you can see over time,
Yes.
especially, and it's so gratifying. It's so amazing to see, and especially women. When women grow in business, and I think I'm a little biased because of course I'm a woman, but I want women to be empowered financially.
Hmm.
Because you never know if all the burden is on your shoulders, then you have to be able to handle it. So when I see successful women, I'm all about that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
So, and if you guys looking for a tax accountant, you have Olga, by the way. Yes. Looking back, what do you feel you've learned from this experience, from moving from corporate world to your own business, raising your son, facing all those challenges, meeting new people, start speaking
Yeah.
up about what you do, growing your clients. What have
Yeah.
you learned?
Okay, I'm gonna toot my horn just a little bit. I've learned that I am resilient. Like
Mhm.
I can have a bad day at work and sleep over it, and I want to wake up first thing tomorrow at 5 a.m. and still do that. So I I'm forever into this. Now I know I will get older and maybe some things when, my mind might not work as great now, but this is something I love so much. So I've realized that I really love this. In fact, between the
Mhm.
business and my son, those are the two things that really, really motivate me. So I've learned that I can actually do this, and there's opportunities everywhere. So long as you can solve somebody's problem, and in my area,
Yeah.
somebody's tax problem, and give them value. Don't make them feel like they just been had or they spent too much money for
Mhm.
nothing. If you can give that value and put them in a better position than they were before they met you, that's a win-win. But I love my resilience. I've always had it. I, it comes from deep, deep down. It's not
Yeah.
something that can be erased easy. And that really keeps me going because sometimes it's not hard. It's not easy. Being in business, sometimes you just exhausted. The
Yes.
exhaustion alone, or and then another thing is having difficult conversations with clients. Now, tax people will come and tell you, "Oh, I can help you save thousands of dollars in your taxes. You don't have to do this and that." Many times out, they're still gonna owe.
Mhm.
Those-
Mhm.
in fact, I find we have more difficult conversations than the easy ones sometimes. But what I learn is the more difficult the conversation, that phone call you don't want to take is the one that's going to drive your success. I don't know how it works. It might take your business to the next level,
Yeah.
or it might resolve something that in your mind you thought of it in one way and it could be different in reality. So I
Yes.
usually check my pulse. I'm like, okay, how am I feeling about this? Is this
Mhm.
one of those typical conversations? I need to talk to this person.
Mhm.
I just need to, because you know how in accounting, if it doesn't sound right in the beginning, 2 months later, it's still the
This is 100% truth.
yes, it's going
It's
to
kind of,
show
you
up in a
know it,
different,
you know it, you cannot see it, but you know it. Yes.
for a fact. So better just dig in and get that answer.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Better to do it now than later. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So resilience I've learned that keep learning, keep building your skill, whatever it is you want to do, make the time to learn because it'll only make you a better professional or a better person as you grow in
Mm-hmm.
your business. Yeah.
What would you recommend for people to do maybe before they have the difficult conversation with clients, or that that client that is, oh, any secrets?
I Well, it depends on how difficult. I normally have a good friend that I call, but then just do it, man.
Just do it. Yeah,
Just
just
do
do
it.
it. Yes.
Just do it. It could be it's like sometimes my son, he's in fourth grade, some challenging areas, science, whatever, and the way they teachers communicate, it's online, so you see the grades. I'm like, let
Yes.
me just look at, because that's how you get better. But action for me, the way I deal with my areas of anxiety is moving.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
taking an action, even if it's not action related to exactly what I wanted to do, but moving helps me get over my
Mm-hmm.
anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
I need to work better on managing my mindset, but sometimes I just make that phone call. Oh, look at the
Yes.
answer, look at the report. Um, s- you know, Dealing with it early is usually better than, or having conversations early is always better than not
Yeah.
having them, because it can be devastating.
Yeah. So basically, just to take that
Mm.
step to have that
Yes.
uncomfortable conversation, but just do it.
Mm.
So an outcome
Mm.
may surprise you.
Yes. Most times, I'm telling you, 9 out of 10, outcome is always better than what you thought it was going to be. For me, at least. Yes.
Yeah, because you're sincere, right? And that tough conversation, sometimes they need to happen so you can move forward. Yes. This is beautiful. And I like what you said. I'm checking with myself if it's a difficult client or not and whom I need to call first. I think it's trusting yourself like, oh man, I don't want to do that, but I need to
Yeah.
do it. So I know that it's not hanging over my head, right? The rest of the day. So it's done in the morning and I know what to do next. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
pretty cool. What advice would you give to someone who is maybe wanting to open their business, who is going through similar challenges
Mhm.
in their heads to open a business, or they're going
Mhm.
through all of the obstacles that they have in their heads, how they can overcome it? What advice would you give to those?
I always start with asking yourself, why am I doing this? Why do I want to do this? Because
Hmm.
that why will be your pillar of strength when things are
Hmm.
crazy, and they are going to get crazy, or even when things are really good, so that it doesn't get over your head and you get too overconfident about what you're doing. The why is so important because that's what gets you waking
Yeah.
up, getting up at night. You know, People say that, oh, in the first 5 years of a business, I mean, most businesses don't survive beyond year 5 and then year 10 and so on and so forth. It's sometimes I feel like the reason that may be so, okay, the usual stuff, the cash flow, not making revenue, that could be one of them. But one other reason could be that the why is not strong enough. That reason, you could have had an experience, you could have had a childhood that for you, there were some challenges, and so you set out to start a business to make sure that you're helping other people that could have been in your position and making sure that they don't have to go through what you went through to overcome that
Yeah.
circumstance. So that why is so important because in business, at some point, you're going to be confronted with things you don't believe in. Accountants, how many times do people come in and say, just make that write off? Just do something that sounds illegal. Like, it just sounds shady.
Yes.
And they're going to pay you. You got to go back to that why. Is this
Hmm.
what I believe in? Am I going to lose my license?
Hmm.
Is my son going to be okay? So if I get $1 million today, what about tomorrow? How will your child look at you if they knew mommy
Hmm.
did something that's not so good? That why it must be so strong that it will make you wake up in the morning. And it's okay to be tired because we get tired. I just
Yeah.
went through tax season and I was exhausted. And then I took time off and I was still exhausted from the
And it was your birthday on Monday too. Happy belated birthday.
But that why is so important because that will make you wake up.
Hmm.
It'll get you back to your base. And for me, I've just realized that taking time off, to take care of me is so, so crucial. And it doesn't have to be like, hey, a big holiday. It could be a day off. It could be,
Yes.
an afternoon off to just
To just be,
recalibrate.
as yeah, just be.
Yes, yes. And then
Yeah.
go back. But this thing, it's like a pool. I'm telling you, once you start your business, and we've talked about the challenges a lot, but there's also the good side.
Hmm.
Once you start your business, it's like having a child is too much, but I'm just saying it pulls you back because it's
Yeah.
giving you things that you never had before.
Hmm.
And the more you give to it, the more benefits you get. It's
Yeah.
it's crazy. The more benefit you get out of that. And to me, maybe part of the reason I'm still single is because I'm still waiting for that dude that would give as much as this business has given me. It's amazing.
Yes, I can definitely relate to that.
Because this is my personal experience. You give in a relationship. Just like
Yeah. Yeah, it has to be in balance, right? It all has to be in balance. It doesn't matter where you are, relationship with your business, and you have to
yes,
have your heart in it as well and know why,
right.
right? Even like why do
That
I need
why is
relationship, right? Why do I need relationship with my business? Yeah.
but yes, it's been very, very amazing. And then it opens your eyes to a whole new set of, a different social network that you never knew existed
Correct.
before. So
Yes. Yeah, the
yeah.
network is the key
Interesting.
too. Yeah, and you meet different people, right? So it allows you to see
Yes.
different perspectives, and Yeah, be
Mhm.
open-minded. Yeah,
Oh,
that's so
yeah.
beautiful. I really liked
Mhm.
your why, kind of going back to corporate. No, I'd rather do overnight shift at Walmart than going back to corporate. And it looks like you're
Mhm.
the person who likes freedom and likes
Mhm.
to be flexible in your life rather than just be limited to certain times. And it looks like you enjoy your son who's challenging you, but at the same time, it's kind of it's unconditional love that I think keeps us
Yes.
going as
Yes.
moms, right? To show them
Yes.
better versions of the world, right? So don't limit them to just corporate. So show them that this is what they can do more in
Mm.
life, and I'm a good example of it. So I think this is a great example for your son. And
Yeah.
what I liked about your story, that you were motivated despite
Yeah.
anything, like I just
Yeah.
kept moving forward, read a script on my client's interview, then I'm sure it's adjusted now, so it goes way easier than it was at the beginning. But taking actions, what brought you to where you are right now, even opening LLC, registering your
Mhm.
business, getting your
Mhm.
tax ID, those
Mhm.
small steps
Mhm.
open door to new possibilities, right? To growing your business, to meeting new people, and just be out there and actually telling the world about your services, because nobody knows what you do until you say it out loud, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. Olga, can you share a final encouragement message or your legacy message to our listeners?
Okay. All I want to say is that before I started the business, I thought life was great. I mean, I had my 9 to 5, which of course it was a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
But I had my job, I had my regular income, and I thought that was it. But ever since I started my business, I've been able to travel, something I never did, and travel with my son, even at a young age. So I've been able to explore. Like right now, if I say I'm going to Jamaica in 2025, it is definitely happening. It's not something that I'm thinking. It's
Yeah.
definitely happening. I've been able to grow financially. I believe, in investing. So I've been able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is despite not having that 100% certainty in your income. But being in business just opens up things, possibilities. Like my son, he had a field day. I didn't have to ask anybody, can I do this? Can I do? I just went, and it was such an amazing experience. First, I learned about the Civil War, and not just that, I met other parents, and I could discuss, some of the challenges with the school, and just just
Yes.
helping our kids. So that flexibility that I've had to have, and I'm also from Kenya. I'm from Africa, and a lot of us who are privileged to live in this country, we also have to help our people back home.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that help is, financial. And so when you're blessed here, that means you can also make a difference in somebody's life in Kenya. So
Mm-hmm.
whether it be help with tuition in school, medical, little things like that. Sometimes money, small amounts of money that might not seem significant here can really change lives there.
Yes.
So just having that philanthropy and that ability to be philanthropic, amazing. And the one thing that is unexpected is my family has a ton of respect for me. Like, oh, auntie, I'm the rich auntie now. My nieces, I kind of feels good. So being in
Mm-hmm.
business to me is being my answer. That's what I've always wanted. That's
Mm-hmm.
always I want. Yes, yes, it's hard. Yes, there are challenges, but the rewards far outweigh the cost for me. And
Mm-hmm.
if you want to do it, please do it. It's going to open up a whole new world for you.
Oh, thank you, Olga. Thank you. That's very inspiring. I feel very inspired. Thank you for your dedication, for your
Mm.
strength, for your energy, and for your story. You can find more information about Olga by following the links below this episode. And if you need any tax advice, tax recommendations, or you're looking for a new tax accountant, here she is, the person that you just met. And I wish you, Olga, the best of luck in growing your business and achieving your dreams, traveling the world, and good luck with your son, too. Those can be very handful. Thank you very much for being on today's podcast. And please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our new powerful story like Olga's. And remember, no matter how tough things get, you are not alone.